Chapter 91. Prince of the Medical Field. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 91. Prince of the Medical Field. Translator. Atlas Studios Editor. Atlas Studios. Qin Ran couldn't be bothered with how DUI. She simply rolled up her sleeves and said, that was the response she gave Lu Xiaoying. How DUI? Lu Xiaoying had always been protective of Qin Ran. But this time it was urgent and he didn't have time to say more. He simply shot How DUI a warning look and left after letting Qin Ran know. Outside, Qin Ran placed the book back on the table and decided to take her keys with her anyway. A half-hour later, she arrived at the hospital. There seemed to be more people here today. There was even a fleet of luxury cars at the entrance. Quite a number of people gathered around, taking pictures and uploading them onto social media platforms. Qin Ran walked into Chen Shulan's ward. Ning Wei and Mu Ying were around too. I've been better these few days, you guys don't have to come and see me so often. Chen Shulan glanced at Qin Ran. Qin Ran pared an apple for Chen Shulan by her bedside. Who came yesterday? Qin Ran handed the pared and diced apples to Chen Shulan. She asked quietly when she saw the tulips on the bedside table. It was Jin Xian. He comes over whenever he's free. He's a good boy, always making me happy. Chen Shulan smiled kindly as she brought his name up. He seems more filial than that biological granddaughter of yours. Qin Ran cleared her throat. Ever since Chen Shulan was hospitalized, Qin Yu had never once paid a visit. Qin Ran had always been direct with her words, and Chen Shulan did not tell her off this time either. She simply smiled. Mu Ying tugged at Qin Ran's sleeves and whispered, "Cousin, it isn't nice to talk about second cousin this way. She's busy practicing her violin." Mu Ying did not dare say any more when she saw Qin Ran's cold glare and quickly switched topics. "Cousin, did you see those cars when you were coming up? I don't recognize the brands, but they looked so domineering." She sounded envious. Qin Ran simply shrugged and said she didn't know about it. Mu Ying was only asking casually. She wasn't expecting Qin Ran to recognize them either. BDNV, but she did hear some people discussing downstairs, saying that most of the cars were limited edition, luxury models. I heard there are big shots around today. We might get to see them if we hang around a little longer. Qin Ran did not pay much attention to it. After visiting Chen Shulan, she went to look for Chen Shulan's doctor in charge before going to Chengwan. Chengwan's cell phone was switched off, but he did tell Qin Ran that he had to perform surgery before he left. Qin Ran was pretty sharp with her judgment. She was pretty sure that most of the luxury cars downstairs were there because of him. In that case, Qin Ran roughly knew his position. There was a VIP ward on the 29th floor with an isolated operating theater. There were several security officers on that floor now, but Qin Ran could simply get a nurse's uniform and find her way in there. But she did not. She simply waited by the elevator. Besides her, there was also a group of successful men in custom-made suits and office bags, each with a personal assistant. As a young girl, she already stood out amongst them. Chengwan's surgery was pretty early, so Qin Ran did not have to wait very long. When the elevator doors opened, she saw a man emerge from among a crowd of doctors. At the same time, the group of successful men huddled forward towards the elevator. Chengwan trailed behind the hospital's director. He was in a white doctor's coat and the surgical mask was still hanging on one ear. He unbuttoned his coat with one hand, calmly and professionally. Even after hours of surgery, he did not seem the least bit exhausted. Crowded as it was, everyone maintained at least a 10 centimeter distance from him, and they'd subconsciously lowered their voices too. It was a quiet scene. The next surgery depends on the situation. His voice was slightly hoarse from the long hours without water. He received the pen from the director and was ready to go to the meeting room for a research discussion. But when he looked up, he caught sight of a cold figure at the corner, against the wall. Cheng Wan stopped in his tracks. The cream of the crop of the financial industry and the director intuitively stopped by his side as well. Cheng Wan was a renowned doctor in the field. A veteran cardiologist had even openly said that he was a natural talent, that he was born a doctor. He only performed one surgery a month, and most of these surgeries had less than a 10% success rate. Yet, he'd never failed before. By right, one would expect that rich, scheming people would long have used him for their benefit. And yet, strangely, no one had dared approach him for such reasons before. Even those big shots from the financial industry were very respectful to him. Nobody in the medical field knew who was his backing or his identity and background. In any case, even the most successful bosses had to be respectful towards Cheng Wan. Cheng Wan was always very focused during surgeries and he made sure to keep his cell phone off. After the surgeries, he would also set aside a few hours to guide the accompanying doctors. Without fail. Those who knew him were therefore very shocked when he took his coat off and spoke to a girl so gently. Most of them stood by watching in confusion. Qin Ran cut the long story short and told him about Cheng Mu. "I got it." Cheng Wan took his cell phone out while informing the director of the hospital. He then took Qin Ran along and walked out, his eyes deep and serious. He did not care that he left a group of people in utter shock behind him. He gave Lu Xiaoying a call and said a bit to him, then turned to Qin Ran. "Wait here for me, I'll get the car." Qin Ran did not intend to go since Hao Dui did not really seem to like her anyway. It wasn't just dislike, he despised her. But seeing that Cheng Wan rushed to get the car, she did not want to say much. Cheng Wan drove over a while later. "Get in first." It wasn't the black car she was familiar with, but a blue Lamborghini. "Cheng Mu drove my car away yesterday. This car was sent over by young uncle at the last minute, but its function isn't as good. It can't go up mountainous roads." Cheng Wan explained. Qin Ran did not respond. On the other side, Mu Ying was ready to leave after visiting Qin Shulan. She had just stepped out of the entrance when she noticed the stylish luxury car parked by the road. She stole a few more glances at it because it was so eye-catching, then she overheard a few men saying, this car was a limited edition, its price was upward of 20 million yuan. Mu Ying would never have expected that sort of astronomical sum. She'd thought that Qin Yu's violin, worth 500,000 yuan, was already the limit. But the next moment, she saw Qin Ran getting into the front passenger seat. "Cousin." Mu Ying intuitively called out to her. Chapter 92. You've revealed that you are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 92. You've revealed it. Translator. Atlas Studios editor. Atlas Studios. Qin Ran was planning to get into the car swiftly. But Mu Ying had appeared and was jogging towards her. Qin Ran furrowed her brows. "Cousin, what are you doing here? Is this your friend?" Mu Ying was speaking to Qin Ran, but she couldn't help but direct her vision to the car instead. The Lamborghini's design was such that she wasn't able to see the driver's face. But she could see the pair of hands on the steering wheel, slender and beautiful. She could tell that the driver wasn't an old person. Mu Ying tried to look further in. "I've something on," Qin Ran said succinctly. "I'll go first." "But, cousin." Mu Ying didn't want Qin Ran to leave just yet. She looked towards the sports car with much interest. Cheng Wan casually said, "Qin Ran, it's time to go." Qin Ran nodded at Mu Ying and then got into the car. There was no way she could see the driver from her point of view, so she could only watch it as the car left. Yuncheng wasn't big. If there wasn't any traffic congestion, an hour was all it took to get from north to south. Cheng Wan reached the destination in a while. Lu Xiaoying and Hao Dui were waiting in the lounge. "What's going on here?" Cheng Wan asked when he entered. Hao Dui and Lu Xiaoying saw Cheng Wan enter and hurriedly said, regarding Cheng Mu's matters, Qian Dui suggested that we call the police and refused to say more. Young Master Lu and I are waiting for him to knock off now. Hao Dui was waiting for news about Cheng Mu as well. After all, Hao Dui wasn't a local Yunqing resident and he wasn't able to intervene much here. But he knew that Cheng Mu's disappearance couldn't be that simple. There would not be a point in calling the police. He was speaking when he saw Qin Ran enter discreetly behind Cheng Wan. She was playing games on her cell phone, unwilling to interfere. Qin Ran came in with Cheng Wan, and Hao Dui did not dare to tell her off in front of him. He simply gave her a cold look. Hao Dui, someone sent you this. There was a knock on the door before a man came in and handed Hao Dui an old jigsaw puzzle. It was in a mess. Qin Ran hadn't played her game in days and she was waiting for it to refresh when she glanced at that old puzzle. It wasn't anything complicated, it would probably be a picture of a pet dog when it was completed. She looked away. Hao Dui furrowed his brows. Why would anyone give me this for no reason? Cheng Wan eyed the jigsaw puzzle and tilted his head. He asked Lu Xiaoying, is there any old factory here in Yunqing? One that manufactures plastic? I'm not sure, I've to ask Uncle Jiang. Lu Xiaoying took his cell phone out. Master Wan, anything else you can decipher? Hao Dui knew that this was likely sent by the person who took Cheng Mu away and hurriedly passed it over to Cheng Wan. Cheng Wan placed the puzzle on the table and pieced it together. It wasn't a complete set. There were missing pieces here and there. Cheng Wan looked at it for a while. Then, two people came into the lounge. May I know which one of you is Hao Dui? The man who just entered looked about 40. His eyes were sharp and his clothes prim and proper. Hao Dui had been looking for Qian Dui for days, but he refused to meet him. Now that he'd appeared all of a sudden, Hao Dui did not even have the time to think of what he was doing here. He stepped forward. I am. Lu Xiaoying stood beside Cheng Wan and whispered, Qian Dui wasn't intending to bother about us and asked us not to care about this matter. Why has he changed his mind now? After thinking for a while, Lu Xiaoying looked at Cheng Wan. Master Wan, could he know you? No, that's not right, he wouldn't have heard of you. Lu Xiaoying couldn't figure out the reason. Cheng Wan simply looked at Qian Dui, as if in deep thought. 157 **************************************************************** Get the technology department to run a check on this number, Cheng Wan said to Qian Dui. It probably isn't a postpaid card, but you can try tracing the communication route. Qian Dui nodded and got the young technical personnel to see to it. Then, I'll need you to come up with a system. The person who handed Hao Dui the item is definitely in disguise, but you'd be able to find some clues. The camera at the entrance should have captured his face. Cheng Wan went on instructing them. Qian Dui quickly figured out that Cheng Wan was the leader amongst them. He took another look at him. Roughly how long will it take you to get these done? Cheng Wan looked up at the technical personnel. The technical personnel responded, half an hour. There are 4 plastic factories in Yunqing. How long will it take you to find the precise locations? Cheng Wan asked. I haven't tried. Give me about 20 minutes. Hao Dui understood that this would probably give them Cheng Mu's address. He looked at the young technical personnel anxiously. Tension rose in the lounge. That was when a female voice yelling, "Victory," came from Qin Ran's cell phone, breaking the tension. Hao Dui looked in her direction impatiently. Qin Ran lowered the volume of her cell phone. When she looked up, she saw Hao Dui's unpleasant expression directed at her. Who would be playing games at a time like this? Miss, please don't disturb the technical personnel. Hao Dui warned Qin Ran in a mellow voice. The technical personnel was about to track down the location. But the location he found, in the end, was exactly where they were at. Lu Xiaoying widened his eyes. How could this be? There's too much interference. The technical personnel sounded serious. It would take about a day to get everything figured out from scratch. For such a huge project, a day was considered pretty fast. But your case 712 was really fast. How Dui looked straight at Qian Dui and the technical personnel. Qian Dui did not say a thing. Qin Ran kept her phone and stood up. Cheng Wan turned towards Qin Ran and handed the technical personnel's laptop to her. He smiled and said, "For you." Chapter 93. Unbelievable. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 93. Unbelievable Translator. Atlas Studios Editor. Atlas Studios. Qin Ran looked at Cheng Wan in surprise. She didn't expect Cheng Wan to hand her the laptop right away. Qian Dui was a serious and cold person. Even after How Dui said so many words to him, he didn't utter a reply. How Dui learned of how cold the people in this team were in the past few days. Qian Dui didn't even care about him despite his persistence in the past few days. He finally appeared today, perhaps because Master Wan was here. How Dui was about to ask the technical personnel some questions. However, he saw Cheng Wan handing over the laptop to Qin Ran and frowned. "Master Wan, why are you giving the laptop to her? Don't hold up the programmer's work." He then looked unhappily at Qin Ran. As if asking, why wasn't she leaving yet? Lu Xiaoying didn't react in time. He tilted his head and seemed to also be deep in thought about Cheng Wan's intentions. Qin Ran looked at the laptop in Cheng Wan's hands and took it from him. Before she turned around, the technical personnel hurriedly stood up and made way for her. Qin Ran sat down and started to concentrate on her work. She pursed her lips as her slender fingers tapped away on the keyboard. Lines and lines of code that only programmers understood appeared on the screen. "Located," Qin Ran said nonchalantly. The atmosphere around her changed once she started concentrating. The technical staff who was very cold to How Dui heard her and took out a cell phone from his pocket. He flipped it open and clicked on a switch on the left side. It then immediately turned into a mini-dot computer. Locating. The technical staff sat by her side and opened up the map. Following Qin Ran's instruction, he found an address in the north part of the city. Everyone saw how the technical personnel went through a ton of code and information during his testing. And still ended up with nothing. Not even 10 minutes had passed. And she got the location. What the heck? Who was she? How Dui's jaw dropped. He went from puzzled to surprised to numb. He thought he was hallucinating. Qian Dui brought a cup of tea and placed it beside Qin Ran's right hand. "This is green tea. I only used 7 tea leaves, it's not too strong." He then turned towards How Dui. "I've sent people to the abandoned factory in the north." How Dui was completely speechless now. Lu Xiaoying recovered from the initial surprise. However, he couldn't stop himself from looking at Qin Ran again and again. "Master Wan, you knew this all along." Lu Xiaoying finally found his voice again. Clenching his fist and placing it by his lips, Cheng Wan coughed lightly. "I had prior suspicion but only came to a conclusion now." Cheng Wan felt there was something wrong when traces of Qin Ran were found in 712. He then found out more from the Morse codes. He confirmed his suspicions when Qian Dui suddenly appeared. "Qian Dui shouldn't have heard of me before. From what you guys have told me, he didn't appear even after How Dui visited him so many times. That meant that he didn't want to be involved." Lu Xiaoying was puzzled. "But that's just a guess." After Qian Dui came, his eyes kept shifting to her. This was his subconscious at play. From his micro-expressions, he holds her in high regard. 712, Lu Xiaoying was more puzzled. That was 3 years ago, how old was she? Cheng Wan didn't reply. Heck. You guys are all crazy good at this. After a long while, Lu Xiaoying finally snapped back to his senses. He wiped his face and said emotionlessly. Both the technical personnel and Qian Dui, who were very cold to Hao Dui, centered around Qin Ran. Lu Xiaoying didn't want to interrupt but didn't dare to talk to Cheng Wan as well. He could only pat Hao Dui on the shoulder. Actually, Qian Dui isn't so cold. Look at how enthusiastic he is to Qin Ran. Bringing tea and water, treating her like his dad. Hao Dui was speechless. Say something. Lu Xiaoying shook his shoulders. He was choking in the silence. He would explode if no one talked to him. Hao Dui still remained silent. What the heck was there to say? Cheng Mu's address was out. Hao Dui looked at Qin Ran deeply and proceeded with Lu Xiaoying to save Cheng Mu. Qin Ran was surrounded by the people in the station. Cheng Wan stood at one side and saw how the technical personnel was looking at Qin Ran with admiration. The crowd around her was asking all sorts of questions, trapping her in. Lu Xiaoying and Hao Dui had left. Cheng Wan tapped on his phone with his fingers and squinted at them. Those surrounding Qin Ran heard a soft voice, "Don't you have exam papers to finish?" Qin Ran felt a slight headache from the noise surrounding her. She couldn't think clearly. Cheng Wan's soft voice felt gentle to her ears. She identified it easily. Qin Ran's mind seemed to have found an answer as she rushed out from the crowd around her. She then said towards the crowd behind her, "That's right, I still have exam papers to finish. The teacher is waiting to check it." Qin Ran heaved a sigh of relief and said softly, "Let's go back." Cheng Wan looked down at her. Seeing her relaxed expression, he chuckled lightly. "All right, let's go back." Acting as if nothing had happened, he turned around and exited the doors nonchalantly. However, he intentionally slowed down. By the time Cheng Mu was rescued by Hao Dui and the others, it was already 2 hours later at 5 p.m. As Hao Dui and Lu Xiaoying had to proceed for handover, Cheng Mu didn't return with Lu Xiaoying. Instead, he took Qian Dui's car back to the school doctor's office. After arriving at the school doctor's office, he saw Hao Dui and Lu Xiaoying coming after recording the data. "I thought I wouldn't see y'all for a couple more days," Cheng Mu said emotionally after seeing them. "How did Qian Dui agree to help? And how did y'all find me?" I asked Qian Dui, but he didn't reply at all. He's such a cold person. Cheng Mu wanted to continue. But then, from the corner of his eyes, he saw Qin Ran getting a cup of water from the kitchen. He stopped and didn't continue in front of her. Qin Ran took a sip of water and glared at him. She wasn't bothered as she sat back on her chair and continued doing her practice papers casually, with one hand supporting her chin. Cheng Mu glared at her and frowned. Looking at Hao Dui and Lu Xiaoying, he said softly, "Let's talk outside." Before he could finish, Hao Dui cut him off emotionlessly. "There's no need for that." "What?" "We don't have to talk outside or avoid her," Hao Dui said while staring at Qin Ran. "She saved your life." Chapter 94. Why was Qian Dui as cold as ice during the lunch? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 94. Why was Qian Dui as cold as ice during the lunch? Translator. Atlas Studios Editor. Atlas Studios Cheng Mu was speechless. He was quite emotional just now. He avoided Qin Ran whenever he spoke, but at this time, he was silent. This time, Lu Xiaoying completely ignored Cheng Mu. He walked directly to Qin Ran's table and placed his hands on the table. He did not speak. Instead, he stared at her as if it was the first time he saw her. A moment later, Cheng Mu looked at Hao Dui numbly. He felt as if there was something wrong with his ears. How DUI, didn't you save me with Qian DUI and the others? The situation was complicated. Your location was uncertain and the technicians could not determine your specific location. How DUI succinctly explained. It was her computer that determined your location. Otherwise, you would not have been saved by now. So it was not wrong to say that Qin Ran saved Qingmu. All Qian DUI's technicians could not figure out my location and she's the one who did it in the end. Qingmu had a hard time summarizing the situation. Yes. Although he had personally experienced the situation and tried to recall what happened again, How DUI still found it hard to believe. He clenched his fist before saying, it wasn't even half an hour. Chengmu stopped talking. The school doctor's office was very quiet. In the past, Chengmu never paid much attention to Qin Ran. Now, he was dumbfounded and truly shocked. It was impossible that How DUI was joking. But how could she know? Chengmu stiffly protested. Qian DUI was famous in the industry because of the 712 cases they solved. His men were all elites and it was evident from the strength of his technical team. Chengmu was not the only one. How DUI and Lu Xiaoying were also confused. In their eyes, Qin Ran was just an ordinary high school student. How was it possible that she knew this type of technology? The entire situation was not described, but Chengmu could imagine the scene. Qin Ran, you're too amazing. Lu Xiaoying finally found his voice. He slammed the table and excitedly exclaimed. When did you learn to program? You're more professional than the professional technicians. In the past, Chengmu was only polite to Qin Ran because he was fearful of Chengwan. As he was surrounded by extremely outstanding people from a young age, he did not care much about Qin Ran and secretly looked down on her. However, after hearing Lu Xiaoying's words, Chengmu no longer ridiculed her. He only lowered his head to look at his hands. When he saw Qin Ran again, the look in his eyes was completely different from before. Qin Ran continued with her paper at the table. She was doing a chemistry paper. As his attitude towards Qin Ran changed, everyone in the school doctor's office became very interested in her. She was only a secondary 3 student. Why was she so good at programming? They pretended to pass Qin Ran without noticing her but inadvertently saw the paper she was doing. Unlike her expertise in software programming, her writing on the paper was not attractive. Her penmanship was like a primary school student's. Her words were far apart, not framed well, and had no corners. In fact, on a closer look, only a few questions were right. Even Chengmu and How DUI, who were very curious about her, had some difficulties understanding her. What do you think? Isn't Qin Ran awesome? As Lu Xiaoying helped Chengmu bandage his wound, he accidentally hurt him. Looking at them, How DUI could not help but burst into laughter while drinking ice water at the side. Qin Ran was sitting at the table inside and was separated from Lu Xiaoying by a glass door. If they lowered their voices, Qin Ran would not be able to hear their conversation. Chengwan took out his cell phone. Chengmu paused before whispering in a voice that could only be heard by the few people near him. Thoughtfully, he said, Master Wan, don't you think it's strange? Why would a high school student that doesn't know anything coincidentally know this? Isn't this just too much of a coincidence? Cheng Wan was currently on a call with someone. Hearing Chengmu's voice, he turned around slightly. His movements were always lazily, and he casually glanced at Chengmu without care. He did not explain much but slowly said. 3 days later, there will be a lunch with Qian DUI. If you have anything to say, you can bring it up then. Although the truth was not what Chengmu thought it was, Qian DUI did contribute greatly to the rescue. Lunch was a must. However, Master Wan, has Qian DUI agreed to the meal? Chengmu recalled that when he was in the car when he came back, Qian Dui did not seem to care at all. Judging from how they look, it doesn't seem like they are people who would eat with others. Cheng Wan, Cheng Mu, and several of them would definitely be restrained, and Qian Dui also did not talk much. How awkward would the atmosphere be? Although this was what he thought, Cheng Mu did not dare to say much. This time, he went to Yun Cheng with Hao Dui because of two reasons. The first was because of Cheng Wan and the second was because of Qian Dui. It was better to have this opportunity than none. 3 days later. At noon. Hao Dui and Cheng Mu were the first to arrive at the lunch. Cheng Wan and Lu Xiaoying were waiting for Qin Ran to be released from school and were not there yet. Cheng Wan had set a time that was just after Qin Ran's release from school. Cheng Mu and Hao Dui arrived in advance out of basic respect for Cheng Wan and Qian Dui. She's really quite skilled, but will it be bad for her to come to this kind of business occasion? Cheng Mu held his teacup and glanced at the door. He said in a low voice to Hao Dui, "What if Qian Dui is unhappy about it?" Cheng Mu thought that a high school student like Qin Ran was not suitable to attend such an occasion. He initially thought that Hao Dui would agree with him. Unexpectedly, Hao Dui only quietly drank his tea. He seemed to be deep in thought. Before Cheng Mu could say anything more, an attendant opened the door of their room and a few people walked in. When he looked up, he realized that it was Qian Dui. Cheng Mu's expression was obviously shocked. He originally thought that Qian Dui would arrive later with Cheng Wan. Generally, people who arrived at the lunch in advance did it either out of respect or because they wanted to chat with others. Seeing Qian Dui's expressionless and quiet face, he did not seem like someone who would engage in a conversation. "Qian Dui, what sort of tea would you like?" Cheng Mu stood up and spoke first. "No, thank you," Qian Dui said concisely. He sat on the seat next to the door. The two technicians behind him also saw down. Everyone sat down in silence. Besides Qian Dui, who asked the attendant to bring over another pot of tea, no one else had any intention of speaking. The atmosphere suddenly turned chilly. Cheng Mu tried to ask Qian Dui and his team a few questions, but Qian Dui and his team only shook or nodded their heads like ice cubes. Cheng Mu felt extremely helpless. He thought that he was not a sociable person, but he did not expect that there would be someone who spoke less than him. He lowered his head and sent a WeChat message to Hao Dui. "Qian Dui is too cold. I can't work with him at all." Just when the atmosphere was about to turn from awkward to freezing, the door was pushed open again. The person who opened the door was Lu Xiaoying. He touched his flashy earrings and leaned back to talk to the person behind him while opening the door. "Master Wan." Cheng Mu and Hao Dui both stood up. Cheng Wan lowered his eyes and acknowledged them with a slightly nasal voice. He walked in with Qin Ran. Cheng Mu was just about to sit down. However, he was shocked to see that Qian Dui and the others had also stood up. One of those people who were as cold as ice wiped the remaining chairs. Someone pulled the chairs out. With a faint smile on his face, Qian Dui poured a cup of tea and placed it in front of Qin Ran enthusiastically. "You can drink this tea. I just asked the attendant to bring over a new pot." Chapter 95. Old Mother Qian Dui. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 95. Old Mother Qian Dui Translator. Atlas Studios Editor. Atlas Studios. Since Qian Dui asked Qin Ran to try the tea, Qin Ran took a sip. Seeing that Qian Dui was waiting for her response, she nodded slightly and said in a low voice, "It's okay." Qian Dui sighed in relief and then sat beside Qin Ran. Cheng Wan and Lu Xiaoying had seen how Qian Dui and his men showered Qin Ran with attention a few days ago. As such, Cheng Wan sat down calmly and indifferently. Even though Lu Xiaoying had seen it, he continued to look at Qian Dui and his men and sighed secretly in his heart. Since everyone had arrived, Lu Xiaoying told the attendant to start serving the food. Qian Dui started to introduce the delicious dishes to Qin Ran in a low voice. He even ordered a large bowl of boiled meat slices for Qin Ran. Cheng Mu was speechless. He stiffened. Wasn't the lunch going to be cold and awkward? The entire meal was not as awkward as he thought it would be. From the start to the end, Qian Dui and his men only chatted with Qin Ran and Lu Xiaoying. In fact, those people in Qian Dui's team kept giving toasts to Qin Ran. Looking at the lively atmosphere at the table, Cheng Wan leaned back on his chair. He had always been quiet and focused, but he slightly raised his eyebrows when he saw this scene. He stretched out his hand to knock the table and whispered something to the attendant. His hair drooped down to his side as he lowered his head, and his hands that were placed on the table were long and slender. Within a few minutes, the wine beside Qin Ran's seat was replaced by juice for the attendant. The boiled meat slices placed in front of her were moved to the opposite side. Qian Dui was startled. He did not dare to look at Cheng Wan. At this time, he only looked up in confusion. Only then did Cheng Wan pick up his chopsticks, look up lazily, and explained, "She had a few stitches on her right hand and is recovering from a bad wound." Something must have triggered Qian Dui because he suddenly sprung up and looked at Qin Ran worriedly. Even his voice was raised. "How many stitches did you get? What happened to your hand?" The technicians that came with Qian Dui also put down their chopsticks and looked at Qin Ran solemnly. Qin Ran's chopsticks were gone before they even touched the boiled meat slices. She put them aside and glanced at Qian Dui speechlessly. "It's fine. How can it be so easy to recover from a few stitches?" Qian Dui rambled on. Qin Ran was annoyed. She did not wish to explain and showed him her hand. There was only a pink scar and traces of stitches on her hand, but it was enough to tell how bad the injury was like in the past. Qian Dui continued frowning. Bam! He did not ask Qin Ran anything but slammed his chopsticks on the table. He looked up at Cheng Wan, who was beside her, and asked nervously, "What condition is her hand in? Are there any side effects? Will there be any sequelae?" When he first came to Yuncheng, Cheng Mu accompanied Hao Dui to look for Qian Dui. The natural coldness of the other party made it hard to approach and talk to him. However, Qian Dui was rambling on like an old mother now. He did not seem like a cold and laconic man at all. Didn't she only hurt her right hand? Was it necessary to react like that and act as if she could not use her hands anymore? Cheng Wan was sitting at the table, but he could always be heard no matter how softly he spoke. Cheng Mu took out his cell phone and sent a WeChat message to Hao Dui. "Isn't she left-handed? It's not a big deal that her right hand is hurt. In the past, my goddess had a broken rib but still went with me to investigate a case and did not act like her." For the remainder of the lunch, it was mostly Qian Dui and his team talking to Cheng Wan about Qin Ran's injury. He asked Cheng Wan thoroughly until he confirmed that her hands would not have any sequelae. Only then did he sigh in relief. After the meal was done, the person who spoke the most was Qian Dui. Before he left, he talked to Qin Ran for quite some time. Qian Dui and his men only unwillingly got on their car after Cheng Wan softly coughed. Cheng Mu stared numbly as Qian Dui got on the car. After Qian Dui had left, Cheng Mu could not help but look at Qin Ran. He just could not understand why Qian Dui looked like he knew Qin Ran so well. The awkward and cold scene he imagined did not happen at all. In contrast, he and Hao Dui barely said anything during lunch. Cheng Mu sat in the passenger seat in a daze. Hao Dui started the car and turned back with a thoughtful look. There's something wrong with Qian Dui's attitude. The way he treated Qin Ran. I don't know how to explain it. Hao Dui did not need to say anything more. Cheng Mu also realized it. Both of them did not say anything for a moment. After that, how do you? I jokingly said, however, how do you think Qin Ran compared to your goddess? Qin Ran's programming skills are not run-of-the-mill. How do you? I did not really know much about computers, but he would never forget the way Qin Ran looked when she was using a computer a few days ago. Especially Qian Dui and his team's attitude. Since he mentioned it, Cheng Mu became emotional. She's amazing, but how can she compare to my goddess? How do? I thought about it and did a serious comparison before nodding. That's true. On the other hand, Qin Ran got off the car some distance away from school. She was about to go to class. However, she did not expect to see a black BMW at the intersection of the school. 5 minutes later. Qin Ran sat in the passenger seat. She leaned back in her chair and narrowed her eyes. She was relaxed but tried to sound serious. When she opened her mouth, her voice sounded dry. What's the problem? Tell me. Ning Qin was seating in the back seat. After the chauffeur drove the car out of the school's gate, he promptly got out of the car. I've already found out about what happened on Weibo. Don't be angry. After that, she changed the subject and said in a soft voice, Ran, why didn't you tell your mother that you knew Mr. Feng? It was Mr. Feng who solved the problem on Weibo for you, right? After such an esteemed person helped you, did you invite him for a meal? Although Yuncheng was small, it housed many hidden talents. The Lin family appeared to be powerful on the surface, but in reality, it had a weak foundation. Many families were more impenetrable and some even belonged to the capital. Ning Qin also realized that in front of some families, there were some people in the Lin family that were not worthy of being mentioned. Like Lin Wan, who married into the Shen family in the capital. It's okay. I don't know Mr. Feng very well. Qin Ran unknowingly covered her knees and said with a heavy tone. How could you not know him well? He already helped you, inviting him to a meal is a must. Ning Qin said. Qin Ran immediately interrupted her. Remember when you did not pick me up when I called you 3 years ago? Mr. Feng sent me back. I think he simply feels that I'm pitiful because I don't even have his number. Considering Feng Locheng's status in Yuncheng, he was extremely eye-catching. Qin, you only needed to mention something in passing to Madame Feng before Lin Wan's attitude towards Ning Qin completely changed. Unexpectedly, Qin Ran did not even have Feng Locheng's number. Ning Qin was very disappointed. If it were Qin Yu instead of Qin Ran, they would know Feng Locheng's number 3 years ago. She would not be like Qin Ran, who was so old yet ignorant and self-important. Qin Ran pinched her own fingers, pushed the door open, and got out of the car. The chauffeur parked the car at the turn and there was an open space. Qin Ran just got off the car. In front of her, a beautiful Ferrari supercar drove over and stopped at Qin Ran's feet. Chapter 96. Su Yaoguang is only interested in 2 things. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 96. Su Yaoguang is only interested in 2 things. Translator. Atlas Studios editor. Atlas Studios. Qin Ran turned to the side to give way and did not think that the supercar was here for her. Just as she turned sideways, a man got off the supercar. He was wearing a flamboyant pink shirt and had a light smile on his face. As he took off his sunglasses and swept the area, he saw Qin Ran standing at the roadside and his eyes lit up. Miss Qin, do you remember me? I'm Qian Jinyu. He acted friendly by waving his hand at Qin Ran and approached her. We met last time at the clubhouse. Qin Ran glanced at him without much care and her expression was quite indifferent. Oh. After that, she turned around and wanted to walk back. Qian Jinyu did not expect Qin Ran to leave. He was startled and did not expect this reaction at all. He had met many women before. Most of the time, they would come closer once he stood by the car and waved at them. This was the first time he saw such a cold person. After recomposing himself, Qian Jinyu hurried over to Qin Ran again with a smile on his face. Ning Qin was quite disappointed in Qin Ran. She already gave her such an obvious reminder, but she refused to learn her lesson and was about to leave with flagging interest. Unexpectedly, another car stopped in front of Qin Ran. This car was not the same as the BMW she drove but a supercar. From Ning Qin's judgment, it was not cheap. Although many people in Yuncheng could buy this car, very few bought it because not many people were willing to spend so much money on such a car. Ran. Ning Qin pushed the car door open. She raised her voice and walked to Qin Ran's side. Is this your friend? Ning Qin's eyes swept past the sports car quietly and finally fell on Qian Jinyu. He was attractive and looked distinguished. She knew a lot of people in the circle but never heard of any family with the surname Qian. Qin Ran put her hands in her pockets and nonchalantly walked around Qian Jinyu again as she made her way towards school. Lowering her head, she looked cold and impatient but delicate. She was like a flame that set people's hearts on fire. Qian Jinyu initially wanted to stop her, but after he saw her expression, he was stunned. You are. After verifying that she was a student of first middle school, Qian Jinyu was not in a hurry anymore and turned to talk to Ning Qin. I'm Ran's mother. Ning Qin smiled. Qin Ran walked to class 3.9 by herself. The afternoon self-study period was not over yet. Just as she walked in, Su Yaoguang happened to walk out. Qin Ran turned slightly to give way to him. Su Yaoguang looked very indifferent and did not even raise his eyebrows. He went to the office to get the papers. There was a physics quiz once a week, and the quizzes were getting harder and harder. When he arrived, Qin Yu was also there to collect the physics papers and had not left the office. This physics paper is very hard. Qin Yu slightly raised her hand, tucked her hair behind her ear, and smiled. I only scored 81 marks. The last big question made me dumbfounded. 100 was the total marks of the physics paper. Su Yaoguang glanced at her. His expression rarely changed, but this time it did. Getting 80 marks and above is not bad already. We have similar scores. Qin Yu laughed and it seemed that she had regained her momentum. I'll be rehearsing for the school celebration program on Friday evening. She watched Su Yaoguang collect the papers and pursed her lips as if she spoke casually. Su Yaoguang had always liked to watch her play the violin. Especially recently since he really liked her new song. Qin Yu kept him in anticipation and did not practice her violin in school recently. She assumed once he heard that she was going to rehearse, he would definitely not miss out on this opportunity. After some thought, he nodded slightly. Okay. I'll be there. Lin Siren was at her seat trying to do a physics problem. Beside her was a notebook that Qin Ran gave her. Recently, she liked to do physics problems when she was free. Qin Ran sat in the class and pulled out a book to read. Ran, the celebration is next Monday and the rehearsal is Friday evening. Do you want to watch our rehearsal? Lin Siren put down her pen and looked at Qin Ran hopefully. As Qin Ran flipped the pages of her book, she glanced at her and slowly responded. I'll think about it. She did not confirm her attendance nor reject her. Lin Siren was quite happy about it. Qin Ran leaned back on her chair, placed her hand on her chin, narrowed her eyes, and thought about it casually. Perhaps she should make some time on Friday night. Su Yaoguang came back and gave out the physics papers. The papers were rolled up by their physics teacher. On the way back, he talked to Qin Yu and even discussed a physics question with her. He did not have time to look at his paper, but he had already estimated his score. He only opened his paper once he reached his class. The physics teacher had a habit of arranging the physics papers from the lowest to highest scores. Naturally, the first one was Qin Ran's. Su Yaoguang looked down and saw that she scored 38 marks. This time, the physics paper was difficult and there were a few papers that had around 40 marks. 38 marks did not seem that jarring. However, this score could not help but stir Su Yaoguang's emotions. He directly handed out the papers starting from Qin Ran and then continued with the rest. When the period bell rang, the self-study session was over and the students in the class started to move around. Xiao Xing received his paper and went to compare it with Qin Ran's. But before he could make a comparison, he saw Su Yaoguang coming over with Lin Siren's paper quietly with a strange expression. No one else knew, but Xiao Xing was very clear on this. Su Yaoguang was only interested in two things. One was the violin. The second was physics. That was why he chose to be the representative of the physics class even though his math was very good. Coincidentally, Qin Yu was good at both. Looking at Su Yaoguang's expression, he was a little startled. "Young Master Su, what's wrong?" Chapter 97. Do you understand what a violin is? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 97. Do you understand what a violin is? Translator. Atlas Studios Editor. Atlas Studios. Su Yaoguang did not say anything as he placed the paper on Lin Siren's table. He glanced at Lin Siren with cold eyes and softly said, "You've scored 93 marks for physics. He and Qin Yu only scored a little above 80. Upon hearing Su Yaoguang's words, everyone in the class started to gather around him. The physics questions were extremely difficult. There were a few challenging questions spread throughout the paper, and those who could score 80 marks and above were those godly students who had participated in the physics competition last year, not to mention people who scored 90 marks and above. However, these people did not include Lin Siren. Everyone knew that Lin Siren was good at languages and biology but was bad at other subjects, especially math and physics. That was why she could never be in the top 5 in the class. Right now, she actually scored 10 more marks higher than Su Yaoguang. Even Xiao Xing, who had very poor grades, could not help but look at Lin Siren incredulously. Lin Siren was a little dumbfounded. She lowered her head and flipped through her paper. I don't know. She did feel that she did the paper quite proficiently but did not expect to only be wrong for a small subsection of the last killer question. Su Yaoguang glanced at her, thought for a while, and asked politely, "How did you do the last question? Can you let me see your paper?" Of course. When she handed her paper to Su Yaoguang, Lin Siren suddenly thought of something and turned around to look at Qin Ran. Qin Ran was lazily sitting on her seat casually flipping through a book and sucking on a lollipop. Lin Siren blinked as if she suddenly remembered something. I saw the last question in my notebook before. She passed the notebook Qin Ran gave her to Su Yaoguang. Su Yaoguang took it and opened it. On the first page, he saw 3 words scribbled on it. Although they were messy, Su Yaoguang could still pick them out. Song looting. Su Yaoguang whispered word by word. Xiao Xing also turned around to take a closer look and then glanced at Lin Siren. I've never heard of this person before. Is this person from our school? No. Su Yaoguang turned to the next page and was deep in thought as he scrutinized it. He's 1 year older than us. He lifted his head to look at Lin Siren with shining eyes. Do you know song looting? No. Lin Siren shook her head. Instinctively, she looked at Qin Ran and bit her lip. Without Qin Ran's approval, she did not dare to say anything to Su Yaoguang. Su Yaoguang followed her gaze and looked at Qin Ran. A ray of light flashed past his eyes, but it disappeared the next moment. He borrowed Lin Siren's physics paper and went back to his seat. Xiao Xing did not notice this. He returned the paper to Qin Ran and went back to his seat. He then stretched his legs and noisily asked, "Young Master Su, who is Song Looting?" "The champion of IPHO last July." "He's from Yuncheng," Su Yaoguang softly said. IPHO stood for International Physics Olympiad. Su Yaoguang thought about whether these two people just had the same name, but after flipping through the notebook, he felt that the probability was small. How did Lin Siren get to know such a godly person? Xiao Sheng was quite surprised. Su Yaoguang did not say much, but he unknowingly glanced at Qin Ran. Friday, noon. The scars on Qin Ran's hand gradually disappeared. Now, she was sitting in the school doctor's office and doing her homework. Cheng Mu silently poured a glass of water for her and asked carefully, "Miss Qin, do you want to eat something?" He had a very respectful attitude. Although Cheng Mu did not speak in the past or show his true feelings in front of Qin Ran, he was extremely dissatisfied with her deep inside. At this time, there was a clear difference in attitude. Qin Ran was sitting crossed-legged. She turned over a page, lifted her pen to write something, and replied casually, "No." Cheng Mu immediately stepped aside to avoid disturbing her. Due to the rehearsal program, there were no lessons in the afternoon. Qin Ran did school practices for 2 hours before starting to pack her things. Cheng Wan leaned on the sofa as he spoke to Lu Zhaoying in a soft voice. Neither of them looked very pleasant. Qin Ran was doing her exercises at a table not far away from them. Today, she wore a school uniform coat and a red and black checkered T-shirt. She occasionally frowned but looked lively overall. Sometimes, when they glanced at her, she seemed quite cheerful. This made the atmosphere of the school doctor's office very relaxed. Cheng Wan, who had been paying attention to this, squinted as he looked at her. "Don't you have lessons this afternoon?" "There's a rehearsal. Lin Siren wants me to watch their performance." After packing her things, Qin Ran stood up. "It won't take too long. I'll be back in half an hour." "Okay." Only then did Cheng Wan nod and respond slowly. He leaned back again and his eyes fell on her right hand. "Don't do too much hard work for them. Even though your hand is fine, you need 2 weeks of rest." Qin Ran did not turn back. She only waved in passing as she left. Lu Zhaoying could not help but laugh. What a cold girl. Lu Zhaoying paused, grabbed a pen, and looked at Cheng Wan again. After some thought, he asked again, "Master Wan, Qin Ran could move her hand long ago. Why are you so worried?" Cheng Mu nodded ferociously in his heart. Not to mention, she was left-handed. Furthermore, even if she was not left-handed, her scars were about to disappear soon. Cheng Wan glanced at the two of them with a calm expression. Even his tone was lax. "Do you know why I am Master Wan and you two aren't?" "Why?" the two of them asked instinctively. "That's because your IQ is low." Cheng Wan held the file holder with his long fingers and said politely. Both of them were speechless. First Middle School's hall. The hall was very big and could accommodate about 1,000 people. It was so noisy, it was as if there was a guard of honor conducting a ceremony in her head. When Qin Ran entered the hall, she felt very tensed and her entire body felt like it was in low atmospheric pressure. Just as she was about to take out her phone to look for Lin Siren, Xiao Xing patted her shoulder with his phone. As the hall was very noisy, he instinctively raised his voice. "Lin Siren and the others are still in the line. She asked me to take you to the small hall." After knowing each other for a long time, he and Lin Siren knew that Qin Ran was afraid of noisy places. She would turn cold when there were many people. The small hall was separated by a door. Under normal circumstances, there were few people inside. At this time, Qin Yu was authorized to practice her violin in it. When Qin Ran went in, Qin Yu was not practicing a new song but her performance song. After listening to more new songs, Qin Yu's performances had been dull for a long time. Su Yaoguang listened to her very seriously. When Qin Ran walked in, he subconsciously looked at her. Xiao Xing whispered to him and Su Yaoguang responded softly. He was now distracted and not paying as much attention to the violin as before. Qin Yu's expression darkened as she had always been paying attention to Su Yaoguang's reaction. Qin Yu's violin playing was not bad and was more advanced than the average violinist. Qin Yu is not bad and her playing is quite nice. Xiao Xing whispered in her ear. Qin Ran acknowledged him. She's still on the amateur side, but she truly has potential. Su Yaoguang saw that Xiao Sheng and Qin Ran seemed to be paying attention to her playing and could not help but whisper. She's playing double harmonics now. There are not many people her age who can do that. Xiao Sheng was not really focused and scratched his head. I think it's not much different from what she was playing just now. Qin Ran also casually remarked. It's average. Not smooth enough. Qin Yu heard Qin Ran and Xiao Sheng's words just after she stopped and pursed her lips. Finally, she could no longer hold it in. Do you understand what is double harmonics or left-hand pizzicato? How about you two understand these terms before criticizing my playing? I don't need amateurs to evaluate my playing. Young Master Su, they are so noisy that I can't concentrate. Please ask them to leave immediately. Chapter 98. Numbered musical notation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 98. Numbered musical notation translator. Atlas Studios editor. Atlas Studios, wasn't it just double harmonics and left-hand pizzicato? Didn't double harmonics mean that the bow was floating on the surface of the strings instead of pressing down on them? The positions for the correct notes had to be precise to ensure that the notes were in tune and there was sufficient control over the string vibration. As for the left-hand pizzicato technique, it was more difficult than double harmonics. However, anyone who knew a little bit about the violin knew of this technique. Did she have to take so much pride in knowing those terms? The key reasons why Qin Ran said that was not these, but because Qin Yu was not proficient in double harmonics and left-hand string pizzicato. Her double harmonics were very stiff and sometimes, she went out of tune. The way her left hand pressed on the strings was quite sluggish sometimes and it made the vibrato very choppy. The problem with her left-hand pizzicato was even bigger. Whenever Qin Yu plucked the D string, it always sounded dull because she did not dare to use enough force. Qin Ran guessed that Qin Yu tried before. If the sound was too clear, she would definitely hit the E string. In any case, Qin Yu's foundation was solid, but her skills now were not good enough. However, Qin Yu wanted to show off her skills in this piece of music, which caused its beauty to be ruined. This was the reason Qin Ran said her playing was not smooth. However, she did not say that out loud. She only took out her earpieces and stuffed them into her ears. She found a stool to sit down on, turned up the volume to the maximum, and her entire body started to relax slowly. Due to what Qin Yu said, the atmosphere in the small hall became tense. Xiao Xing hid his careless expression, turned around, and looked at Qin Yu with a slight sneer. Qin Yu did not dare to look at Xiao Xing. She dug her nails into the palm of her hand and slightly closed her eyes before speaking to Su Yaoguang. So are you just going to let her be here? Su Yaoguang returned to his senses. He looked at Qin Ran with a cold and intense gaze. After that, he turned over to talk to Qin Yu. As a violinist, you will be subjected to various comments by professionals and amateurs. You don't have to worry about them. But what if I say that her being here is really affecting my mood? I'm unable to continue playing. Qin Yu spoke lightly without looking at Qin Ran. Su Yaoguang did not immediately answer. He thought about it for a moment. After that, he looked at Qin Ran with an obvious intention. Finally, Qin Yu breathed a sigh of relief. She looked down from a platform at Qin Ran, who was sitting down. Xiao Xing opened his mouth, jumped up, and said incredulously, "Young Master Su." Su Yaoguang did not say anything. The cell phone in Qin Ran's hand vibrated. Lin Siren had called her, so she answered it. It was time for Lin Siren's performance. Qin Ran stood up, took off her earpieces, and stuffed them in her pocket. Her apricot-shaped eyes squinted as she said indifferently to Qiao Sheng, "It's Lin Siren's turn. Let's go." Qiao Sheng looked at Qin Yu with a slight smile, but his gaze was icy. After that, he followed Qin Ran and left the small hall. After the two of them left, the small hall was quiet again. Su Yaoguang's expression did not change much. He continued to look at Qin Yu indifferently. "They're gone. You can continue." Just after Qin Yu picked up her violin, Su Yaoguang's voice rang again. "Does your sister know how to play the violin?" It was a question, but he said it with an affirmative tone. "She learned it before when she was younger, but she wasn't serious. After a few years, she quit and even hit her teacher's child's head," Qin Yu said. Su Yaoguang nodded and did not say anything else. His eyes were somewhat empty. Later, Qin Yu noticed that he was not listening as seriously as before. Outside, Qin Ran already saw Lin Siren. She was behind the ones performing in the 9th class. "What are you thinking about? The big troops are all gone." Qin Ran cleared her throat and softly whispered. "I seem to recognize someone familiar." Lin Siren frowned. "I'm not very sure." Lin Siren returned to her senses and took out a small glass bottle that was the size of her thumb. There was a small plant inside. She handed it to Qin Ran. "Take this." "What?" Qiao Sheng turned over to look at them. Lin Siren smiled breezily. "It's a blade of grass. Nothing much." After hearing Lin Siren's explanation, Qin Ran looked at her expressionlessly. Qiao Sheng did not care much about Qin Ran's expression. He only looked at it seriously, realized that it was really a blade of grass, and did not say anything more. Girls were really lame. At night, after Qin Yu was done practicing, she went home with a lot of thoughts in her mind. Ning Qing was on a call with someone at home and she looked very happy. Qin Yu sat on the sofa and did not practice her piano. While she waited for Ning Qing to be done with her phone call, she fixed her hair and casually said, "Mom, where did you find that piece of paper last time?" Ning Qing hung up the phone and was startled. "What piece of paper?" Qin Yu pursed her lips. "It's the piece of paper that dropped out when you were packing Grandma's stuff." Ning Qing thought about it for a long time and only had a vague impression of it. "Paper. It must be something that belongs to your grandma, right?" "I'm not sure." "You can come with me to visit your grandma tomorrow and ask her." Chen Shulan. Qin Yu's impression of Chen Shulan was of an old person that dressed plainly. She did not know Chen Shulan very well. However, the musicality and skill of this piece were very profound. Qin Yu guessed that it probably had little to do with Chen Shulan. She just did not know where she got it from. She nodded slightly. "I will visit Grandma with you tomorrow." Qin Yu realized that Su Yaoguang was more interested in her adapted piece than her other pieces, but she only had one page of the music score. However, Qin Yu did not associate the score with Chen Shulan. She only decided to try her luck. The next day, Qin Yu went to see Chen Shulan with Ning Qing. "Mom, Yuer is here to see you." Ning Qing shook Chen Shulan awake from her bed. Chen Shulan was very sick and her mental state was not good. Even her voice was weak. Qin Yu sat on a chair by her bed instead of sitting on the bed. She greeted Chen Shulan with a few words of concern. In the end, just before they left, she covered Chen Shulan with a blanket and said, "Oh yes, Grandma, the last time when my mom helped you organize your luggage, I saw a piece of paper with many symbols on it." Qin Yu was afraid that Chen Shulan did not understand musical notations and phrased it differently. "Do you have more of it?" When Chen Shulan spoke, she always seemed to be in a frail state and did not say much to Qin Yu. However, when she heard this sentence, she looked refreshed and her eyes lit up as she stared at her. Chapter 99. Sister Knows Chairman Feng. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 99. Sister knows Chairman Fong. Translator. Atlas Studios editor. Atlas Studios, how did you know I had music notes in my luggage? Chen Shulan looked sickly and wasn't imposing, but when she looked solemn, her eyes were strict and sharp. Did you take it? Qin Yu's impression of Chen Shulan was of a rural grandmother, so she didn't expect her to have such an aura. I didn't. She couldn't help but shrink back, a little scared. Really? Chen Shulan narrowed her turbid face and stared at Qin Yu for a long time. I advise you not to have any ideas about it, and you better not touch the music sheets. Qin Yu's pale was pale and she felt a chill on her back. Grandma, what are you talking about? You're very clear about what I'm talking about. Chen Shulan coughed a few times. Outside, Ning Qin was holding a kettle. When she came in, she saw how pale Qin Yu's face was as if she had suffered a blow, and she glanced at Chen Shulan subconsciously. Chen Shulan laid sickly in bed, her eyes slightly closed, looking very tired. Ning Qin was afraid of disturbing Chen Shulan's rest, so she went out directly with Qin Yu. Once the two of them were outside, Mu Ying and Ning Wei came upstairs. Qin Ran held her phone and followed not far away. Second cousin, you're here to see Grandma too. Mu Ying walked forward and smiled at Qin Yu. Qin Yu greeted them and stayed silent. Mom, second cousin is going to play the violin during our school celebration. Recently, almost everyone in school was excited over the school celebration, especially the group of freshmen like Mu Ying. Second cousin is even the finale performance. Recently, the school had mentioned Qin Yu's violin more frequently, and everyone's attention had turned gradually to the campus belle of class 3.1 who was not only studious, had a good family background, and was also good-looking. Yeah, Yor has a celebration, but my mother's body isn't good, so I won't let her go. Do you guys have time? I'll let Yor take a few more tickets, she's in the student union. At the mention of Qin Yu, Ning Qin's smile widened and her voice became a few pitches higher subconsciously. Ning Wei paused and said she still had work to do. But Mu Ying said in surprise, then, thank you, Aunt. Many people in our class don't have tickets. There were nearly 1,000 people in the first grade of first middle school. Coupled with the parents and school teachers, the students only had a few tickets left. While they talked, Qin Yu held her phone and headed towards the ward without raising her head. Ning Qin stared at Qin Ran's back and didn't even want to nag at her anymore. She had always been like this since young, antisocial and rarely playing with others. Chen Shulan had said she had matured earlier, but Ning Qin was simply speechless. She clearly just had a low EQ and personality problems. Yor, go back first. Ning Qin thought of something and didn't go back with Qin Yu. Qin Yu nodded. Her heart was heavy, but she didn't say anything. Mu Ying helped Qin Yu press the elevator button. In the ward. Qin Ran sat on the stool and cut apples for Chen Shulan. Chen Shulan opened her eyes and leaned on the pillow behind her. Ran, did you bring back the music sheets I brought back for you last time? It's in my box. Qin Ran lowered her head and cut the apples seriously. Her clean face tilted slightly and she raised her eyebrow. Don't worry, I didn't throw it away. Then keep it well. Chen Shulan smiled, then coughed again lightly. Qin Ran stared at Chen Shulan and frowned. I originally wanted to throw it away, anyway. It's garbage, but you still picked it up. You treat it as rubbish, but someone still misses it. Chen Shulan raised her eyebrows, and when she saw Ning Qin coming in, she stopped talking and asked Qin Ran about her studies. Qin Ran told her honestly about her physics results. Ning Qin heard 30 points as soon as she came in. Ning Qin wasn't clear about her other scores, but she remembered the physics score. Qin Yu had told Lin Jinxian just a few days back. She heard that this physics exam was very difficult. Qin Yu had gotten 82 points and was third in school. Even Lin Jinxian, who seldom talked, had praised Qin Yu. Ning Qin didn't speak when she heard Chen Shulan praising her improvement and didn't feel bothered. Qin Ran didn't have other matters, so she accompanied Chen Shulan for 3 hours every Saturday. Ning Qin waited for her to leave before coming out with her. Ran, wait for me. Ning Qin called, her face as gentle as possible. Qin Ran reached out to press the elevator and narrowed her eyes, her face expressionless. What is it? Her style had always been carefree and unbridled, and she was even more casual with people she didn't care about. Her beautiful eyes were impatient. Ning Qin hated the look. Her attitude put Ning Qin in a bad mood, but she still smiled patiently. Do you remember that young Master Qian from last time? He's... Stop. Qin Ran could see Ning Qin's thoughts at a glance. She stared at Ning Qin, her eyes cold. You don't have to tell me who he is, I have nothing to do with him. Why don't you go and sell Qin Yu instead? The elevator door opened with a ding. She went straight in. Ning Qin reached out to block the door and pursed her lips. I'm also doing it for you. That young Master Qian has a solid background and I've also heard that he's the chairman of a corporation. You're considered lucky that he has taken a fancy on you, you should count your blessings. Qin Ran laughed, her eyes cold. Since his qualification is so good, let Qin Yu marry him. What nonsense are you talking about, your sister? Ning Qin opened her mouth. Qin Yu had been molded by her personally and was comparable to all those noble ladies in all aspects. Furthermore, Lin Wan also liked Qin Yu, so Qin Yu's marriage would definitely be in Beijing. After being in the high society, Ning Qin knew that she was nothing more than a small wave in this circle. Although that young Master Qian was good, he was too dissolute and didn't have any personal achievements. He wasn't comparable to Lin Jinxian and Feng Xi, so Ning Qin wasn't willing to let Qin Yu marry this kind of person. But Qin Ran was different. Other than her face, she wasn't outstanding. She didn't have good grades, nor was she from a good family, and Ning Qin really felt like she was quite ignorant of current affairs. If you can't explain yourself, then let it go. Qin Ran returned directly to the bubble tea shop. She had taken leave because of her hand injury previously. The boss wasn't usually so lenient towards the part-time workers, but Qin Ran was different. When she worked in the bubble tea shop, the business boomed several times more than usual and the line snaked all the way to the streets. Be it from their own school or from another school, they were all there to see her face. So the bubble tea shop's boss was extremely happy to see Qin Ran. Qin Ran went to the bubble tea shop again. Lu Xiaoying, who was sitting at the passenger seat, saw the grandeur of the bubble tea shop and couldn't help laughing. He looked at the rearview mirror and saw that Cheng Wan's expression was a little solemn. Lu Xiaoying and the others already thought that Qin Ran's hand was fine. After all, the scar had faded. But Cheng Wan still didn't allow Qin Ran to do anything, nor did he let her enter the kitchen. All the tasks were handed to Cheng Mu, and with his life-savior around, Cheng Mu did all the work earnestly. Cheng Wan had taken care of everything only for her to run to the bubble tea shop by herself. Does she lack money? Lu Xiaoying thought for a while. Should we hire Qin Ran as our technician? Her skills are definitely good. Cheng Wan lowered his head and didn't speak. Cheng Mu glanced at Lu Xiaoying and was shocked. He didn't expect Lu Xiaoying to trust Qin Ran so much that he actually wanted to hire her as an internal staff without even going through a screening test. He looked at Cheng Wan, and he seemed to actually be seriously considering it. Cheng Wan lowered his eyes and his forehead drooped naturally. He squinted his dark eyes and wanted to go in and drag the girl out. He wanted to tell her there was no need to do this for money. But Cheng Wan said in low spirits, let's go first. Lu Xiaoying and Cheng Mu sensed his bad mood and didn't dare to say anything. In the Lin family's house, Ning Qin went back, and her mood was obviously not good. While having dinner, Qin Yu came out and noticed that Ning Qing was calling someone. She couldn't hear clearly, but she heard the words, "Young Master Qian." Qin Yu's eyes glanced over, and she probably knew something. Aunt Zhang served a bowl of fruits to Qin Yu. "Miss, this is the fruit that Sir just brought back. It's fresh, you should eat it first." Qin Yu ate one grape and looked towards Ning Qing. "Who is my mother calling?" Aunt Zhang smiled and didn't seem bothered. "She called him for your sister. A young man called Young Master Qian has taken a fancy to her." "Yun Cheng." Qin Yu's eyes rolled and she pursed her lips. "I've never heard of anyone with the surname Qian in Yuncheng. This kind of small family can't be compared to the Feng family, but for your sister, it's indeed rare," Aunt Zhang said. Qin Yu naturally knew this. If this young Master Qian was from a big family, she definitely wouldn't pull her strings. It's indeed rare. From Qin Yu's current perspective, Qin Ran wouldn't have any development in the future. Although Qiao Sheng was close to her, how could the Qiao family possibly take a rural girl as their daughter? In law. She was considered lucky to be able to marry into the Qian family. Qin Yu wasn't concerned about Qin Ran's matter anymore. Until the evening when Lin Qi came back and he suddenly mentioned Qin Ran. Ran knows Chairman Feng." Lin Qi glanced at Ning Qing. Ning Qing was stunned. "Who is Chairman Feng?" "She's the chairman of the Feng Corporation." Lin Jinxian picked up a piece of vegetable and explained, "She's the younger sister of Feng Lucheng. They're both in politics and business and their main business is in Beijing. Their business is very big and out of the ordinary." Qin Yu raised her head at the mention of Qin Ran. She was in disbelief. "Then, sister knows Chairman Feng." She and Ning Qing didn't know. However, her family was in Beijing and she was also Feng Lucheng's sister, so how could she and Ning Qing have gotten in touch with her? "I heard Chairman Feng mention it at a banquet today. Chairman Feng was inquiring for her son." Lin Qi also paused and then said, "Her son is more low-key and follows his father's surname, Qian." Bam! The chopsticks in Qin Yu's hand fell on the table. Chapter 100. The difference between Qin Ran and Qin Yu. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 100. The difference between Qin Ran and Qin Yu. Translator. Atlas Studios Editor. Atlas Studios. Qin Yu's reaction was a little too big. Lin Qi thought she was a little strange. "You are." Qin Yu immediately picked up her chopsticks and smiled absent-mindedly. "I didn't expect Uncle Feng to have a sister, so I was just a little surprised." She also never imagined that the young Master Qian whom she had thought was unremarkable actually had such a relationship with Feng Lucheng. Looking at Lin Jinxian and Lin Qi's expressions, this young Master Qian's identity was probably comparable to Feng Ci. Qin Yu felt very confused. Why was Qin Ran's luck always so good? "Chairman Feng is a career woman," Lin Jinxian said quietly. "Her son has settled down in Yuncheng with his father. You have probably seen him before, he's Qian Jinyu." Qin Yu glanced over at Ning Qing, who was frozen on the chair. At the mention of this, Lin Jinxian frowned and lowered his chopsticks. "Dad, Chairman Feng was asking about Ran for her son." Lin Jinxian nodded slightly and understood Lin Jinxuan's concern. "I know how to deal with this matter, you don't have to worry." The people on the table were all distracted. Lin Qi could see that Ning Qing was acting a little strange. After dinner, he got up and said solemnly to Ning Qing, "Come to the study with me." Qin Yu returned to the violin room after dinner. However, she was distracted about Qian Jinyu's matter and felt a little angry. When she'd thought that she had never heard of the surname Qian in Yuncheng before, she hadn't meddled with the affairs. Who knew that this random person would actually be related to Feng Lucheng? And he seemed to be from Beijing. She was very upset and vexed. How was Qin Ran so lucky to be able to randomly find a low-key young master Qian whose identity was also comparable to Feng Xiai? Qin Yu was sullen and also unspeakably jealous. The phone in her pocket rang. She looked down at the phone number and it wasn't from the city. "Hello, Dad." Qin Yu frowned, but her voice was obedient. "You're coming to Yuncheng in 2 days and want to see me. Okay, I'll see you in our usual spot." Then, she hung up. Cheng Wan invited Qian Dui over for dinner. He had come to Yuncheng with a mission. Although Qian Dui was arrogant and cold, he had probably been warned by some people before coming, for his attitude towards Cheng Wan was rather good. Even though he didn't speak much, there was obvious respect in his voice. But Cheng Wan sat on the chair lazily without a word. His lowered eyebrows were thick and heavy and looked very gentle but imposing. Qian Dui didn't dare to take the initiative to talk to him. Lu Xiaoying was the one communicating with Qian Dui. Hao Dui sat with Cheng Mu at the side and waited for Lu Xiaoying to finish talking before Cheng Mu spoke to Qian Dui. "Qian Dui, did you know Qin? Ms. Qin before?" Qian Dui had always been cold and often ignored people, but his eyes lit up at the mention of Qin Ran. "Yes," he said concisely. But at least he didn't ignore him. Cheng Mu was overwhelmed. "Do you know what Ms. Qin likes? What are her hobbies?" He asked several questions in a row. He had thought that Qian Dui would only answer with a few casual words or ignore him directly because he had experienced Qian Dui's coldness before. He didn't expect Qian Dui to answer him very carefully. "Ms. Qin likes quiet places. She seems rather cold but is actually a very nice person. She likes to eat." Qian Dui was extremely eloquent at the mention of Qin Ran. He seemed like an old mother of hers. Cheng Mu took out the notebook he always carried and noted down everything that Qian Dui said. After dinner, Cheng Wan should have left, but when he heard these two people talking, he sat down again, leaned on the back of the chair, and narrowed his eyes. He tapped his slender fingers on the table distractedly, seeming to listen very intently. Lu Xiaoying was about to go, but when he saw Cheng Wan sit down again, he raised an eyebrow and sat down with a smile. Qian Dui finally stopped talking and seemed to like Cheng Mu a little more. Before he left, he specially greeted Cheng Mu. Cheng Mu really felt flattered. "Why did you ask about Qin Ran from Qian Dui?" Hao Dui was very surprised. After all, Cheng Mu was like him before and didn't like Qin Ran very much. And Cheng Mu was just like his name, so boring and moody. Besides Cheng Wan and his goddess, Hao Dui had never seen Cheng Mu so concerned about anyone else. Many people in Beijing had tried to curry favor with him to no avail. But he was actually asking about Qin Ran's preferences. "Ms. Qin is my life savior," Cheng Mu followed behind Cheng Wan and muttered. Cheng Mu didn't like to express himself much, but he wasn't stupid. He could naturally tell Cheng Wan and Lu Xiaoying's favor towards Qin Ran. Hao Dui took out the cigarette in his mouth and leaned towards Cheng Mu, laughing. "You're so concerned about her, then what about your goddess?" Cheng Mu didn't even think before answering naturally, "My goddess is naturally the first." On Monday, the whole school was on holiday and the celebration started at 2 in the afternoon. Qin Ran crouched in the school doctor's office in the morning. The school was so chaotic that Lu Xiaoying and the others all knew about it. "Qin Ran, are you all celebrating today?" Lu Xiaoying was on holiday today and didn't wear a white coat. He wore a casual T-shirt and was lying on Qin Ran's desk as he asked with a smile. Qin Ran supported her chin with one hand and replied lazily, "Yes." "Then what is your program?" Lu Xiaoying wasn't interested in what the other kids were doing, and he didn't even look at the concert tickets that some people had given him. But he would be interested if Qin Ran was to perform a chorus or anything of the sort. "No," Qin Ran picked up the milk on the side, poked a straw, and took a sip. I'm just going to watch my class perform a chorus. Lu Xiaoying wasn't surprised. After all, with Qin Ran's personality, she didn't seem too likely to join the chorus. She usually frowned when there were too many people, and her brain would probably explode if she had to sing along in a chorus. Give me a message when you finish reading. Cheng Wan slowly turned a piece of paper and raised his eyes. Let's go eat dinner at night, Qian Dui is treating us. Last time, Cheng Mu and the others had treated Qian Dui, so this time, Qian Dui wanted to treat Qin Ran and Cheng Wan. Qin Ran responded and didn't expect a good meal. No matter where it would just be boiled cabbage. The chorus is in the backcourt, you can come out at 5 o'clock. Qin Ran was expressionless. Contact me then. After lunch, it was 2 o'clock. Xiao Xing gave Qin Ran a phone call outside the school gate. Then I'll go first. Qin Ran put down her pen and kept her exercise book. Lu Xiaoying greeted Xiao Xing very enthusiastically. Cheng Wan didn't look like he was about to greet him, and he just looked up and glanced at Xiao Xing. He was also concise to Qin Ran and said, yeah. Qin Ran took her headphones and went out. Cheng Wan glanced at Xiao Xing in the school doctor's office. Although Xiao Xing was talking to Qin Ran, it was obvious that he was 2 steps behind her. He looked away. Ednel.co outside the door of the school doctor's office, Xiao Xing was a little afraid. You know the people in the school doctor's office? Xiao Xing asked in a low voice. With the sun above his head, Qin Ran put on a peaked cap and said lazily, yeah, I'm a part-timer there. So you're not that familiar with them? Xiao Xing sighed in relief. Anyway, you shouldn't get too close to the people in the school doctor's office. Young Master Su told me that they. Anyway, just don't get too close. The original words of Su Yaoguang to Xiao Xing was to stay far away from the people in the school doctor's office, or he might die an unknown death. When Xiao Xing had asked again, Su Yaoguang wouldn't say anything, but this didn't hinder Xiao Xing's conjecture. He knew Su Yaoguang's identity. Qin Ran pressed her hat down and said perfunctorily, oh. Xiao Xing still wanted to talk, but they met Lin Siren and Xia Fei and he quickly closed his mouth. A shaded place in school. I have to work later, and I'm returning to Ninghai town tomorrow. Qin Hanqiu took out a wad of money from his pocket. This is pocket money for you, keep it. Qin Hanqiu had always liked this obedient daughter. Although he now had a young son, he was still as concerned about Qin Yu, or he wouldn't have wanted to bring her back. He worked at a log factory and smelled of wood chips. He was sweaty all over. Qin Yu naturally didn't want it and said softly, Dad, this is your hard-earned money, how could I keep it? I don't need pocket money in the Lin family, anyway. You should give it to my brother and aunt. Qin Hanqiu always found an opportunity to visit Qin Yu every year, and she never kept the money he gave her and would ask him to give it to her brother. Qin Hanqiu always felt like this daughter was so sweet and considerate. He would find a chance to see Qin Yu whenever he was in Yuncheng. Not far away, a group of people was talking. Qin Hanqiu turned around quickly. Sure. You have a performance, right? Go on now. He also didn't want Qin Yu's classmates to know that she had a father like him. Qin Yu said a few intimate words and heard that the group of people was approaching, so she turned and left. Qin Hanqiu stared at her back and was very happy at the thought that she was going to perform on stage later. He turned and walked towards the road. But then he saw Qin Ran in the crowd. Qin Ran's personality was quite like his, a little unsociable. Qin Hanqiu hadn't seen Qin Ran for a long time and suddenly reacted after seeing her that she had already come to Yuncheng with Ning Qin. Qin. He looked at her with some joy. He had wanted to say hello but found that several people were around Qin Ran. The clothes on the teenager's body beside her were valuable at a glance and the other people around her were also bright and neat. Everyone seemed happy and excited. Chin Hanshio reacted suddenly and immediately swallowed his words. Then, he turned and walked into the words. Chin Ran naturally saw Chin Hanshio and was stunned by his reaction. Dad, why did you run away when you saw me?